this is going to be part 2 of a 3-part series. In part 1, I went over a more detailed description of what exactly the matches are. But basically, day 1 was the Tactical Sniper Series DMR match. Day 2 is the Tactical Carbine Series. They're more or less the same match, except Tactical Sniper Series is a 2-gun match, so it's rifle and pistol. Whereas the Tactical Carbine Series is just rifle. So that presented me a unique opportunity to try and do some comparisons. And basically what I opted to do was run the same gun both days with different setups each day. And the idea was that way I could compare what sort of performance I got with one setup versus another. So this is the day 2 setup. I decided to take all the fancy modern furniture off of the Tabuk and just run it as you see it. The only thing on there that I left was the muzzle device, because I've torqued it on there pretty good and I don't really feel like torquing it off. Yeah, so I'll get this intro wrapped up. We'll go through all the match footage, come back, go more in depth about what exactly I was using, and then we'll go back over the match footage. I think this time around I'm going to go in order from worst stage to best stage, and then we'll wrap the video up.
All right, shooter, are you ready?
Yep.
Stand by.
You got it, awesome.
Hit. 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 You're done unless you're clear. Huh? Clear. No. We all should use the back. Shooter, are you ready? Stand by.
I've done the math. That's where you save the money. It's like $1.10 to live 77 grains a year. Probably twice for the power, which is like 22.5 grains. Plus the
Slightly right. Hit. Slight right.
so now
Hit. Right. Hit. Hit. Five.
Well, that was way better than yesterday.
There you go. Okay, cool.
That was weird. I had a weird malfunction.
Yeah. Shit, you hit him though. Good job, dude.
That was a lot better than yesterday.
Yeah. Shooters ready. Stand by.
This trigger time is a similar situation.
good. As soon as this is done, like I'm retiring that rifle and selling it, I'm gonna build an SPR. KR 103. Oh, okay. It's great for that. And it's when KR like first started, before they had like I've never had accurate AK, which doesn't say a lot, you know. I just like coming out. Like I've got a gun to it.
Clear.
Yeah, with an iron sight.
He was on the second target, right? Shooter ready?
The tip of my.
All right, stand by.
The dot below it, or just the very top of it.
Yeah.
For those ones.
Yeah.
There was no like 4.5.
Yeah.
Let me.
The scope. Other than that, there's no difference.
You're done. I'm looking so clear.
I don't know.
Because some of those
Clear.
things are really.
Also, show ready up. 44,
Mine
29.
is not really accurate.
All right, shooter, you ready?
My buddy's got a farm.
Stand by.
Tennessee. So I was out there shooting one, like he's a
Back.
He had his like 223 bolt gun, and so we were out there.
Hit it. Little high and right. Hit.
It?
Yeah, I was like that. First of all, it was smaller than I expected, and it wasn't as white as I thought.
Third?
Yeah, they
Fourth.
were a lot
Fourth.
smaller.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Time.
Well, that's better than yesterday.
Hell yeah. 8, 9, 1, 0, 1 miss.
Shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by.
Hit. Hit. Hit.
On target. On target.
Middle berm. Hit. Hit. Hit.
Right target.
Hit.
Hit. Hit. Hit. Hit. Hit.
Unload, show clear.
7773.
77, 73. Clear.
Again, a lot better than yesterday.
Good job, buddy. You didn't clear this stage yesterday?
No.
Oh. This is like one of my best stages I did yesterday.
Okay, so those are the stages. I'll go ahead and go over what exactly I was using. So this rifle is a Tabuk sniper rifle. This is put together by Tim at Two Rivers Arms. It's basically a Yugo M70 AK with some specific furniture to the Tabuk, and a 21.5-inch barrel is what mine measures. So that measurement is bolt face to crown. What? So if you saw part one, I had JMac furniture on it. I decided to take that off because I, wanted to compare how does the basic setup compare to more modern setup. So tip to butt, the muzzle device. This is the Silencer Co. 3-port ASR brake, obviously 30 caliber. This is mounted to a KNS 14x1 left hand to 5/8 24 right hand thread adapter. Tim at Two Rivers made sure that the crown of the barrel is nice and square, so I don't have any issues with bore alignment or anything like that. As I said, barrel's 21.5 inches. As far as I know, these are just stock Yugo M70 handguards. The scope is a Zeiss LRP S3 4-25. The scope camera is a Trigger Cam 2.1. I do have a Fix-It Sticks bubble level on here that I need to get in better habit of using. The scope mount is RS Regulate. This is their PSL scope mount, so it'll fit the PSL rail. And then the stock is the Tabuk stock. Now, originally, when this rifle came to me, I test fired it, all that sort of stuff, and the stock actually broke right through here. There's a nice crack that ran through the stock. I sent it back to Tim and he repaired it, and so far it's been holding up fine. Also got the Tabuk cheek piece. So yeah, for the match I was running primarily a Palmetto State Armory 30 round slab side mag, just an old polymer mag, and then also the Korean 20 round mag that Tim supplied with the rifle. Bag is, as you see, the green Caldwell bag. But yeah, it's a very nice rifle. I enjoy using it a lot. The tripod is one that you're not going to see in the match. I do take it to matches, but I don't really use it during the shooting. It's just a tripod for mounting binoculars. So that was all the gear I used. We'll go ahead and switch over to match footage again. This time we'll go from worst stage to best stage. We'll talk about how everything went, and we'll come back for the outro. Okay, so we're going to start out with the worst stage of the day, and that was stage 2. The biggest issue I had on this stage, well, there was 2. First issue was I screwed up my holds. So you see on this second target here, I keep holding high on it when I should have been holding dead on. If you saw those target distances and the wind or the elevation holds I had listed at the beginning of the stage, the last 4 targets all were plus or minus half an MOA. So elevation wise, I shouldn't have really held high or low on any of the last 4 plates. It should have been a dead hold on all those, and then the first plate I should have held a little low. So that was the first issue. And then the second issue was I was not holding enough wind a lot of the time. I ended up having to hold like 2 minutes of wind, something like that. And then finally, one other issue I ran into was I had to reload, and that cost me a bunch of time, which cost me the last target. So I came close to finishing this stage. I got 9 out of the 10 hits, but it still was not a very good stage.
That's better than yesterday.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so the next stage is stage 5. This stage went okay. The biggest issue I had with this stage was that because this rifle doesn't have a way to mount a bipod, I didn't really have a great way to stabilize the gun. Now, as you can see, it is okay, right? Like through the target or the scope camera footage, it's not atrocious. Like, I'm not wobbling too bad, but it would have been nice if I had a bipod. I did a good job on this stage. I was able to catch a good wind call on the first few targets, so I made it to the berm, which is better than I did on the previous day, and I even managed to make it through the targets at the berm. So I was pretty happy with making it through those. Now, unfortunately, I did not clear all the targets, which is a little disappointing, but I was really happy with how I did, especially compared to the previous day. Alright, so next up is stage 6. If you watched last week's video, this stage is not the same as the last one. The previous day, we had to shoot all the pistol stuff and then run up to the boat. However, we also had different targets. Now, I believe the reason we have different targets is because the KYL, the KYL targets we were shooting at probably broke. So, those targets kind of get beat up by the end of the day. And so, on Sunday, they had to switch it up. So we're shooting at different targets. So when I do the comparison video comparing the two matches, this stage won't be included because, it's not really a fair comparison. But I definitely did a lot better on this stage than I did the previous day. The targets were a lot bigger, so, that definitely makes things easier. Now, I am still having a little bit of trouble with the wind calls, but overall, not too bad. Just kind of slow. One thing that definitely helped on this stage as compared to the previous day is the lighting was much better this time around. I didn't have anywhere near as much problem self-spotting splash, whereas the previous day, all the berms were deep in shadow, and I couldn't see where my misses were going. Okay, so next up is stage 4. Again, this stage, compared to the previous day, the sun was in a much different spot, so I could see the berm. I had no problem, I had much less problem spotting splash on the berm this time around. So when I got that first hit, I was very happy. I ended up having to zoom in to try and catch a little bit more detail, which, that's the nice thing about running a 25 power scope. You can see my wind is a little bit to the right, about a minute and a half, which is not as bad as I would have expected for 7.62 by 39. I guess this would have been our second stage of the day, so it was still relatively early in the morning. So the wind at this point in the day was not as bad as it was later in the day, which the previous few stages were, later in the day. I did have this weird malfunction. I'm not sure what it was. It seems like the gun cycled and just didn't pick up a new round. So I don't know. I guess this is a Palmetto State Armory magazine, so blame them, I guess. Unfortunately, timed out, but not too shabby. Alright, so next up we have stage 1. This was a pretty easy stage. There's not a whole lot to say about it. Went through it fairly quickly. Placed okay. I ended up placing 5th on this stage overall. One thing I notice as I'm watching this footage back, I do have my magnification relatively high. I'm probably running about 12 power here, which is a little excessive. I could definitely back it off a bit, especially because I don't really have to hold anything on these close targets, and it's just a two MOA hold on the far targets, so I could have just, aimed at the top of the target and it'd be fine. But, it is what it is.
The scope. Other than that, there's no difference.
You're done. I'm looking so clear.
I don't know.
Alright. And now for the best stage of the
Are you
day,
ready?
in my opinion.
Stand
This was
by.
stage 3. I don't know. It's just, this stage went really well. I only missed one shot on this stage, which, granted, the targets are pretty close and they are relatively big. So, that's not exactly a monumental feat, but I was pretty happy with it nonetheless. All my transitions between positions on the barricade were, in my opinion, pretty good. Again, this little bag, this little Caldwell bag, I don't use it a whole lot, but for this prop, it works very well. Especially with the AK, what I found is that because the magazine is curved the way it is if I press the rifle forward into the prop, it like tightens everything down and get reasonably stable like that. Now, as far as placements go on all the stages, I placed reasonably well. There were only 19 shooters at this match, so it was, a relatively small match. My worst stage was stage 2. I placed 12th. Following that was stage 4, where I placed 9th. Then stage 6, I placed 8th. Then stage 5, I placed 6th. Stage 1, I placed 5th, and then stage 3, I placed 3rd. So,
We all should use the best.
and then overall, I ended up placed 8th, again at a 19. So, above the halfway point, I'm happy with that. Obviously I would like to be placed higher, but I'm running an AK at a DMR match, so I got to be a little bit reasonable with my expectations here. It should be noted that the guy who won, Mark Smith, won using a red dot and a 5X EOTech magnifier, so that's a little embarrassing. And then within my division, so when I registered for the event, I registered in the wrong division. I should have registered in gas gun open because I'm running 7.62 by 39, but I registered in gas gun tactical because in my head that's what I should have registered in. Whatever, doesn't really matter. It doesn't cost me anything or anybody else anything, so whatever. Alright, so to wrap up the video, I'll have all the stats up on the screen. I did not place super well, however I definitely placed better than day 1. Ended up placing 8th out of the 19 shooters that competed on Sunday. I'm relatively happy with that performance. There's definitely stages that I could have done better on, but I think for this rifle going into the future, one of the things I want to do is I want to get a new lower handguard and mount just a QD stud, not a QD stud, a sling stud in the handguard, so that way I can run my Harris bipod. Because what the biggest downside to this rifle as it is set up is there's no way to run a bipod on it, which definitely hurt me on stage 5. I needed a bipod on that stage, and I didn't have one. Other than that, the way it's set up right now works pretty well. Not really unhappy with any particular part of it. I think that's all I really have to say about this match. I'll save any comparisons to day 1 for the next video. Like I said, if you did not see part 1, I'll have that linked. And then upcoming, probably in about a week or so, I'll have part 3 filmed, where part 3 is going to be a direct comparison from all the stages that were the same from day 1 to day 2. So that way I can compare, what stages this rifle did in this configuration versus how it performed in the other configuration. I think that's all I've got. Got any questions, leave them below. I'll see you on the next video.